He's dying and we have no idea why, Dr. Walsh says, panic creeping into her voice as she addresses the specialists. Tommy Rossini, 8 years old, lies unconscious in Mount Sinai's ICU. Heart rate 180, temperature spiking. 12 hours, no diagnosis. Vinny Rossini slams his fist against the wall. 12 hours and you got nothing. My son dies, you all die. Dr. Samuel Washington, 68, steps forward from the shadows. Janitor's uniform, mop in hand. I know what's wrong with the boy. Dr. Richard Pemberton's eyes flash with contempt. Excuse me? The fever pattern, the rash, it's Kawasaki disease. He needs immediate treatment or security. Pemberton cuts him off sharply. Remove this man. Now. A nurse whispers loud enough for Sam to hear. Crazy old janitor thinks he's a doctor. But what these doctors don't know about their crazy janitor will shock them to their core. Mount Sinai Hospital's pediatric wing buzzes with controlled chaos at 3:15 a.m. 12 of the East Coast's most prestigious specialists huddle around charts, their reputations hanging in the balance as Tommy Rossini's condition deteriorates by the hour. Dr. Richard Pemberton commands the room with the confidence of someone who's never been wrong. Harvard Medical School graduate, designer scrubs pressed to perfection, his Rolex catching the harsh fluorescent lights. Ladies and gentlemen, we're dealing with a high-profile patient. The father has significant connections throughout the city. Failure is not an option here. His residents exchange nervous glances. Everyone knows Vincent Rossini's reputation. The newspapers call him a businessman, but the streets know better. Outside the ICU, Vinny paces like a predator in a cage. His $1,000 suit is wrinkled from carrying his son, gold pinky ring glinting as he gestures frantically into his phone. I don't care if you have to wake up the Pope. Get me the best pediatric specialist in the world now. This is a man who solves problems with money and influence. Restaurant owners in Little Italy know his name. City council members return his calls immediately. When Anthony Caruso donated $2 million to this very hospital wing, it was Vinny who made the introduction. But medicine doesn't negotiate with power. Tommy's all I got left since his mother died, Vinny whispers to his bodyguard, vulnerability cracking through the tough exterior. Dr. Samuel Washington pushes his cleaning cart down the hallway, moving with the practiced invisibility that 15 years of janitorial work has taught him. 68 years old, distinguished silver hair, intelligent eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses that reflect a brilliant mind trapped in a system that refuses to see his worth. A young resident blocks his path without apology. Move it, Gramps. We've got real work to do here. Sam steps aside silently, his dignity intact despite the dismissal. Doctor. Pemberton notices Sam lingering near the medical discussion and waves him away with visible irritation. Can someone please keep the cleaning staff out of here? This is a restricted consultation. A nurse adds with casual cruelty. That old guy's been hanging around here all night. Probably thinks he understands what we're talking about. Another laughs. Right, like he went to medical school. If only they knew. Sam graduated summa cum laude from Howard University Medical School in 1978. 45 years of medical brilliance systematically excluded from practicing at institutions like Mount Sinai because cultural fit was more important than competence. Hidden beneath his cleaning rags lies a worn stethoscope, polished with care despite years of disuse. Medical journals wrapped in grocery bags line his cart, cardiology research, pediatric case studies, continuing education materials he studies during break times while everyone assumes he's illiterate. As Sam approaches to empty a wastebasket, he catches fragments of the medical discussion. The symptoms they describe, intermittent fever, polymorphous rash, conjunctival irritation, create a pattern his experienced mind immediately recognizes. Dr. Pemberton notices Sam listening and snaps, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" "Just emptying the trash, sir," Sam replies quietly. "Well, do it somewhere else. And next time, knock before entering a medical consultation. Some of us actually went to school for this." The residents snicker. A nurse whispers loud enough for Sam to hear. Probably thinks those TV medical shows make him qualified. Sam's weathered hands tighten on his cart as he's dismissed like a child. These same hands once performed life-saving cardiac procedures, but now they're only good enough for menial labor. Through the ICU window, Sam watches Vinny hold his son's small hand. The tough guy facade crumbles completely. This isn't a mafia boss. This is just a father watching his child slip away. Kawasaki disease, Sam whispers to himself as he moves away from the conference room. Incomplete presentation. They're missing it because they're looking for textbook symptoms. But who would listen to an old black janitor when 12 Harvard-trained specialists couldn't see what was right in front of them? Hour 6. The conference room fills with New York's most prestigious pediatric specialists, each one summoned by desperation and Vincent Rossini's growing threats. Dr. Amanda Carter from NYU arrives with her team. Dr. Robert Martinez from Presbyterian follows. Dr. Sarah Kim from Cornell brings her research fellows. The medical elite of Manhattan, yet Tommy's condition continues to deteriorate. Dr. Pemberton leads the discussion with increasing frustration. We've systematically ruled out bacterial infections, viral syndromes, autoimmune disorders, metabolic diseases, and genetic conditions. The child presents with a constellation of symptoms that defies conventional diagnosis. Charts spread across the mahogany table like battle plans, lab results, imaging studies, consultations from specialists across the country, all normal, all useless. His fever spikes every 6 hours, then normalizes, Dr. Carter reports. We've documented temperatures of 104, then 98.6 within 2 hours. The rash appears and disappears, Dr. Martinez adds. Polymorphous, nonspecific, could be anything or nothing. Dr. Kim reviews the latest blood work. White count normal, inflammatory markers slightly elevated but not significantly. It's as if his body is fighting something we can't identify. Sam enters quietly to empty wastebaskets, moving around the table with practiced invisibility. But as he reaches for Dr. Carter's coffee cup, he freezes. The symptoms chart lies directly in front of him. Fever patterns, rash documentation, lymph node measurements. His medical mind processes the information instantly. 45 years of experience screaming the diagnosis these specialists are missing. "Excuse me," Sam says softly, his educated voice cutting through the medical jargon. "The pattern of symptoms you're describing..." Dr. Pemberton's head snaps up, his face twisting with disgust. "Are you seriously interrupting a medical consultation? Sir, I believe I can identify..." "Security!" Pemberton's voice carries the sharp edge of someone whose authority has been challenged by the wrong type of person. "Please escort this man out immediately. This is exactly why we have protocols about appropriate boundaries." Dr. Carter looks uncomfortable but says nothing. Dr. Martinez turns away. Professional courtesy doesn't extend to black janitors who forget their place. "I just wanted to help," Sam begins. "Help?" A young resident laughs openly. "You can help by emptying the trash and staying out of conversations between actual doctors." Another resident joins in. "Did you get your medical degree from Wikipedia University? Or maybe he watched House reruns and thinks he's qualified," a nurse adds with cruel amusement. The humiliation cuts deep. 68 years old, one of the most brilliant diagnostic minds of his generation, being mocked by medical students who couldn't match his experience on their best day. Security arrives, 2 guards who've known Sam for 15 years but won't meet his eyes now. The racial dynamic is clear to everyone in the room. "Come on, Sam," the first guard says apologetically. "You know you can't be in here during consultations." "He was trying to diagnose a patient," Pemberton announces to the room with theatrical outrage. "A custodial worker attempting to practice medicine without a license. The audacity is astounding." "Typical," Dr. Martinez mutters. "They watch medical shows and think they understand complex pathophysiology." "Next he'll be asking to scrub in on surgery," someone jokes. Sam's dignity crumbles as laughter fills the room. These people see him as entertainment, a delusional old black man who doesn't know his place. His cleaning cart rattles as security escorts him out, the sound echoing down the hallway like a funeral march. Other hospital workers stop to stare. The story spreads quickly. The crazy janitor who thinks he's a doctor. Rosa from housekeeping shakes her head sympathetically. Poor Sam. All that late-night reading has gone to his head. In the break room, Sam sits alone with coffee growing cold. Other custodial staff avoid him. Word travels fast in a hospital. The black janitor who embarrassed himself trying to play doctor. "Sam, honey." Rosa approaches carefully, her voice heavy with pity. You can't be interrupting those doctors. They went to school for 8 years. We just clean up after them. You know how it is for people like us. People like us. The words sting because they're true. In this hospital, skin color determines credibility more than knowledge. Sam stares at his weathered hands. Once steady enough to perform the most delicate cardiac procedures, now deemed unworthy to even offer an opinion. The system that should value healing above all else has reduced him to invisible labor. Hour 8 arrives with Tommy's condition worsening. Vinny corners Dr. Pemberton in the hallway, his composure completely shattered. You said you were the best. My son is dying and you got nothing. Mr. Rossini, we're exploring every possible avenue. We've consulted with specialists across the country. I don't want consultations. I want results. In my world, when people fail this badly, there are consequences. Hour 10 brings more specialists. Dr. Elizabeth Warren from Boston Children's, Dr. Michael Thompson from Philadelphia. Each reviews the same tests, reaches the same conclusions. Medical mystery. The medical establishment's finest minds, stumped by a case that a black janitor diagnosed in 30 seconds. Sam watches through the ICU window as Tommy's small body grows paler. Vinny hasn't left his side, holding his son's hand with the desperation of a man who can buy anything except what he needs most. I know what's wrong with him, Sam whispers to himself. Kawasaki disease with incomplete criteria, but who would listen to an old janitor? Hour 12 arrives with devastating news. Dr. Pemberton addresses Vinny with barely concealed defeat. We're arranging transfer to a specialized pediatric facility in Boston. We've exhausted our diagnostic capabilities here. Vinny explodes. 12 hours and you're giving up? In my business, we don't quit until the job is done. That's when Sam makes his choice. Sometimes doing what's right means risking everything you have left. He approaches the ICU slowly, no cleaning cart this time. Just a brilliant physician finally ready to claim his rightful place in medicine. But will anyone listen before it's too late? Sam approaches the ICU with determined steps, his weathered hands steady despite the humiliation still burning in his chest. No cleaning cart this time, no invisible janitor routine, just a brilliant physician finally ready to reclaim what was stolen from him 45 years ago. Vinny stands guard outside Tommy's room like a sentinel, his expensive suit wrinkled from hours of helpless waiting. Dark circles ring his eyes, and his legendary composure has completely cracked under a father's worst nightmare. Mr. Rossini, Sam says quietly, his voice carrying newfound authority. May I speak with you about your son? Vinny looks up, recognizing the janitor but seeing something different in his bearing. You're the cleaning guy. What do you want? I want to save Tommy's life. The words hang in the sterile air between them. Vinny studies Sam's face with the intensity of a man who's survived by reading people accurately. Listen, old man, I appreciate whatever you're trying to do, but your son has Kawasaki disease with coronary artery involvement. Sam interrupts with clinical precision that cuts through Vinny's dismissal. The intermittent fever pattern, the polymorphous rash that appears and disappears, the unilateral cervical lymphadenopathy. I've diagnosed this exact presentation dozens of times during my medical career. Vinny freezes completely. What did you say? The doctors upstairs are looking for typical presentations, but Tommy has incomplete Kawasaki disease. It's rare, often missed, and if left untreated for another 6 hours, it will cause permanent coronary artery aneurysms. Your son could suffer sudden cardiac death within days. The medical terminology flows from Sam's mouth with the authority of someone who spent decades mastering pediatric cardiology. Vinny's street instincts, honed by years of life or death decisions, recognize genuine expertise when he hears it. How the hell would you know that? Sam reaches into his jacket, pulling out a worn medical journal he's kept hidden for 15 years. The pages are marked with careful annotations, highlighting recent research on atypical Kawasaki presentations. Because I didn't always clean floors, Mr. Rossini. Vinny's eyes widen as he sees the complex medical diagrams, the detailed case studies, the scientific language that no janitor should understand. You're serious about this? Deadly serious. Tommy needs immediate IV immunoglobulin therapy at 2 grams per kilogram body weight, high-dose aspirin therapy to prevent coronary complications, an echocardiogram to assess current cardiac involvement. The treatment window is closing rapidly. Sam's voice transforms completely. Gone is the subservient janitor who empties trash and apologizes for existing. This is Dr. Samuel Washington, one of the most brilliant diagnostic minds in pediatric medicine, finally allowed to practice his craft. Vinny studies Sam's face with the intensity that's kept him alive in a dangerous world. Years of reading people, of distinguishing truth from deception, of making split-second decisions that determine life or death. Those doctors upstairs, 12 specialists from the best hospitals in the country, they got nothing. And you're telling me you know what's wrong? I'm telling you that while they've been running unnecessary tests and protecting their egos, your son's coronary arteries have been slowly dilating. We have maybe 4 hours before the damage becomes irreversible. Why should I trust you? Sam looks through the ICU window at Tommy's pale face, machines surrounding his small body like mechanical guardians. Because I've been studying medicine for 45 years, Mr. Rossini. Because I've diagnosed Kawasaki disease in 23 children during my career. And because those doctors won't listen to me for the same reason this hospital has kept me cleaning floors instead of saving lives. The racial subtext hangs heavy between them. Vinny understands power structures, understands how the system works to keep certain people in their designated places. What do you need me to do? Get me 5 minutes alone with Tommy. Let me perform a proper physical examination. If I'm wrong, you'll never see me again. If you're right, you save my boy's life. They shake hands, the Mafia boss and the brilliant physician disguised as a janitor. An alliance forged by desperation and recognition of genuine expertise. The doctors are in another consultation, Vinny says, checking his watch. You've got 5 minutes. Room 314. Sam approaches Tommy's bedside with the reverence of someone returning to their true calling after decades of exile. His weathered hands move with surprising grace and medical precision, checking pulse points, palpating lymph nodes, examining fingernails with the systematic approach of a master diagnostician. Bilateral conjunctival injection without purulent discharge, Sam observes quietly, his clinical voice emerging after years of silence. Strawberry tongue with prominent papillae, periungual desquamation beginning on both hands. His examination is thorough, professional, and gentle. Every movement speaks of decades of experience caring for critically ill children. Sam lifts Tommy's hospital gown slightly, revealing what the specialists have missed. There, polymorphous erythematous rash on the trunk, appears and disappears cyclically. They probably dismissed it as a viral anthem because of the intermittent presentation pattern. Vinny watches in growing amazement as Sam demonstrates knowledge that surpasses every specialist who's examined his son. The lymph nodes, Sam continues, palpating Tommy's neck with expert precision. Unilateral cervical lymphadenopathy, approximately 2 centimeters, consistent with Kawasaki criteria. From his jacket, Sam produces his treasured stethoscope, polished despite years of hiding, a symbol of the physician he's never stopped being. He places it on Tommy's chest with the careful reverence of a priest performing sacred ritual. Grade 2 out of 6 systolic murmurs, early signs of coronary involvement. We have perhaps 4 hours before permanent cardiac damage occurs. Why are you helping us? Vinny asks, his voice thick with emotion. You don't know us. You don't owe us anything. Sam looks at Tommy's peaceful face, then at the desperate father beside him. Because every child deserves the best medical care available, regardless of who their family is. Because a parent's love transcends all social boundaries. And because... He pauses, 45 years of suppressed pain in his voice. Because for too long I've been denied the chance to use my knowledge to save lives. I won't let another child suffer because of that injustice. As they prepare to leave the room, Sam touches his medical school ring. Howard University, class of 1978, summa cum laude. Hidden for decades, but never forgotten. What happens now? Vinny asks. Now you use your considerable influence to make them listen, and I use my medical expertise to save your son's life. The alliance is formed, but can they convince a racist medical establishment to listen to a black janitor's diagnosis before Tommy dies? Conference room B erupts in chaos as Vinny kicks open the door with violent force. 12 specialists turn in shock as the Mafia boss enters with Sam trailing behind, no longer carrying cleaning supplies, but walking with the dignity of a physician reclaiming his rightful place. "Meeting's over, Doc," Vinny announces, his voice carrying deadly authority. "We need to talk." Dr. Pemberton's composure shatters instantly. "Mr. Rossini, this is a restricted medical consultation. You cannot simply—" "This man knows what's wrong with my son," Vinny interrupts, gesturing toward Sam. The room falls into stunned silence. 12 of the East Coast's most prestigious specialists stare at the elderly black janitor with expressions ranging from disbelief to outright contempt. The sight of a custodial worker standing in their sacred medical space feels like a violation of natural order. Dr. Carter suppresses a nervous laugh, her voice dripping with condescension. "Mr. Rossini, surely you can't be serious about listening to medical advice from— His name is Dr. Samuel Washington," Vinny continues with menacing calm, "and every single person in this room is going to listen to what he has to say." Dr. Pemberton's face twists with racist indignation and professional outrage. "This is absolutely absurd. We cannot allow custodial staff to interfere with serious medical consultation involving a critically ill child." A young resident whispers loud enough for everyone to hear, "Has the old man finally lost his mind completely? Does he think watching medical shows makes him qualified?" Another adds with cruel amusement, "Maybe he's been reading medical textbooks while emptying our trash cans. Think that counts as continuing education?" The mockery cuts deep, but Sam stands his ground with the dignity of someone who's endured decades of systematic racism and emerged with his intellect intact. All eyes turn to Sam. The distinguished black man straightens his shoulders, 45 years of suppressed medical expertise finally given permission to emerge from the shadows where institutional prejudice has kept it hidden. "Tommy has Kawasaki disease," Sam states with quiet authority that immediately commands attention. "You've been treating individual symptoms instead of recognizing the complete clinical constellation." Dr. Pemberton's laughter carries sharp, racist undertones and professional arrogance. "Sir, Kawasaki disease presents with persistent high fever exceeding 5 days' duration, which this patient clearly doesn't demonstrate. You've obviously been reading outdated online medical information." "The fever is cyclical," Sam counters with devastating precision that silences the room. "You've been checking his temperature at standard 6-hour intervals, completely missing the specific spike pattern. Check your detailed nursing records from 6 a.m. and 2 p.m. yesterday." Dr. Martinez grudgingly pulls up the electronic medical record on his tablet. His face visibly pales as he reviews the temperature logs. There was a documented spike to 104.2 degrees at 6:17 a.m. yesterday, and another to 101.8 degrees at 2:23 p.m., but they normalized within 2 hours. "Classic incomplete Kawasaki disease presentation," Sam continues, his medical knowledge flowing like a dam bursting after years of forced silence. "The polymorphous rash appears and disappears cyclically. You documented it as transient viral exanthem because it doesn't follow standard textbook timing patterns." Sam's expertise emerges with systematic precision. "Check his conjunctiva, bilateral injection without purulent discharge. Examine his oral cavity, strawberry tongue with prominent papillary changes. Palpate his neck, unilateral cervical lymphadenopathy exceeding 1.5 centimeters diameter." Dr. Kim reluctantly reviews the physical examination photographs stored on her tablet. "There is documented conjunctival redness, and the tongue does show papillary prominence. The lymphadenopathy was noted but dismissed as reactive. You documented every symptom individually but failed to recognize the diagnostic constellation," Sam explains with the patience of an experienced teacher. "Tommy meets 4 of 5 major criteria for Kawasaki disease, plus multiple minor criteria that confirm the clinical diagnosis." Dr. Pemberton's authority crumbles as his racist assumptions face systematic medical destruction. "Even if you're correct about some clinical observations, this diagnosis requires years of specialized pediatric training. You're a maintenance worker. This is completely inappropriate and potentially dangerous." "Test me," Sam says with quiet dignity that fills the conference room. "What?" "Test my medical knowledge. Ask me anything about Kawasaki disease pathophysiology, treatment protocols, complications, or differential diagnosis." I'll answer every question with the precision you'd expect from any board-certified pediatrician in this room. Doctor. Pemberton cannot resist the opportunity to publicly humiliate an elderly black man who dared challenge his medical authority in front of colleagues. Fine. What's the primary serious complication we monitor for Kawasaki disease? Coronary artery aneurysms occur in 20 to 25% of untreated cases, with giant aneurysms developing in 2 to 3% of patients. These can lead to myocardial infarction, sudden cardiac death, or chronic ischemic heart disease. Treatment window is optimal within 10 days of symptom onset, but maximal therapeutic efficacy requires initiation within 72 hours. Dead silence fills the conference room as 12 specialists realize they're listening to expert-level medical knowledge. Treatment protocol? Pemberton asks with diminishing confidence. Intravenous immunoglobulin at 2 grams per kilogram administered over 10-12 hours as first-line therapy, combined with high-dose aspirin at 100 milligrams per kilogram daily divided into 4 doses until fever resolution, followed by low-dose maintenance therapy. For IVIG-resistant cases, consider methylprednisolone or infliximab as second-line agents. More uncomfortable silence as the medical elite realize they're being systematically outclassed. Diagnostic criteria? Pemberton whispers. Sam recites with textbook precision. American Heart Association guidelines require fever duration of at least 5 days plus 4 of 5 principal clinical features. Bilateral conjunctival injection, oral mucosal changes, peripheral extremity changes, polymorphous rash, and unilateral cervical lymphadenopathy. Tommy demonstrates incomplete Kawasaki disease with all 5 criteria if examined properly. Dr. Carter looks profoundly uncomfortable. His knowledge of current treatment guidelines is completely accurate. Dr. Martinez nods slowly. The symptom pattern does fit if we consider atypical presentations. Where did you possibly learn this level of medical detail? Pemberton asks weakly, his racist assumptions crumbling. Howard University College of Medicine, class of 1978. Sam responds with dignity that cuts through decades of institutional racism. Graduated summa cum laude, internal medicine residency with pediatric cardiology fellowship, 45 years of clinical experience before systemic racism systematically drove me from medical practice. The room explodes in shocked silence. Pemberton's face reddens with racist fury and professional embarrassment. Working as custodial staff raises serious questions about your current medical competency. Questions about my competency? Sam's voice rises for the first time, decades of systematic racism exploding into righteous fury. I graduated at the top of my class from one of America's most prestigious medical schools. I've diagnosed and treated more complex cases than most physicians in this room will see in their entire careers. The only question is why a brilliant black physician was systematically excluded from practicing at appropriate levels because institutions valued cultural fit over clinical excellence. I will not allow some displaced practitioner to compromise patient care, Pemberton shouts desperately. Compromise? Sam's fury becomes a devastating truth. You're compromising Tommy's life while protecting racist assumptions. While you order unnecessary tests covering diagnostic incompetence, that child's coronary arteries are dilating irreversibly. In 6 hours, the cardiac damage becomes permanent. Vinny delivers his calculated power play with perfect timing. Dr. Pemberton, you know who sits on this hospital's board of directors? My friend Anthony Caruso donated $2 million for this pediatric wing. One phone call from me, and your career at Mount Sinai ends tonight. The threat hangs in the air like a loaded weapon. Pemberton realizes he's trapped between racial prejudices and dangerous consequences. Dr. Carter breaks the tense silence with professional pragmatism. What if we perform an echocardiogram to check for early coronary changes? If there's dilation, it would definitively support the Kawasaki diagnosis. Sam nods with medical authority. Agreed, but understand we don't have time for extensive testing protocols. Every hour of delay increases the risk of permanent cardiac complications that could kill this child. The cardiology lab hums with tension as Dr. Jennifer Walsh, chief of pediatric cardiology, operates the ultrasound machine. Tommy lies still on the examination table, Vinny gripping his small hand while 12 specialists crowd around the monitor. Sam stands in the corner, officially still the janitor, but everyone senses the shift in dynamics. There, Dr. Walsh points to the screen. Mild dilation of the left anterior descending coronary artery. Early stage, but definitely abnormal for an 8-year-old. Dr. Pemberton's face drains of color. That's consistent with Kawasaki disease, Sam finishes quietly. Exactly as I was diagnosed. The room falls silent as 12 prestigious specialists confront the reality that an elderly black janitor has outdiagnosed them all. Dr. Carter approaches Sam with newfound respect. Dr. Washington, your diagnostic capabilities are extraordinary. What's your medical background? Sam hesitates after decades of hiding his credentials. I was an attending physician in internal medicine for 20 years, specialized in complex diagnostic cases and pediatric cardiology. Dr. Walsh looks up with growing recognition. Dr. Samuel Washington? I know that name from medical literature. You published groundbreaking research on pediatric inflammatory heart disease. Sam nods slowly, suppressed professional identity finally surfacing. You're familiar with my work? Your 1999 study on incomplete Kawasaki disease presentations changed how pediatric cardiologists approach diagnosis. Your criteria helped identify patients who would have been missed using traditional guidelines. The room falls into profound silence. The crazy janitor they've mocked is a published researcher whose work they've cited for decades. Dr. Pemberton struggles to process this information, his racist worldview crumbling. A janitor who's contributed more to pediatric cardiology than most physicians achieve in entire careers. What brought you to work here in this capacity? Dr. Carter asks carefully. Sam's voice carries decades of pain. Systemic racism in American medicine. Despite my credentials, published research, and clinical experience, I was consistently rejected by major medical centers. Cultural fit was the euphemism. I wasn't the right type of physician for prestigious institutions. The truth hangs heavy. Everyone understands the waste of human potential, the institutional barriers that kept brilliant minds from practicing medicine. After 15 years at underfunded community clinics while my applications were rejected by hospitals like this one, I was pushed out of practice entirely. Sam continues with quiet devastation. The system made clear that a black physician would never be welcome at Mount Sinai's level. Vinny recognizes a fellow survivor of systemic discrimination. You gave up everything. I gave up practicing medicine, but never my commitment to healing. Being a physician isn't about titles. It's about knowledge, compassion, and moral courage when lives hang in balance. Dr. Walsh adds with regret, your research on inflammatory cardiac conditions influenced pediatric cardiology for decades. You're considered a leading expert on atypical Kawasaki presentations. Word spreads through the hospital. The janitor is a medical legend whose work they've studied for years without knowing the author cleaned their floors. Dr. Pemberton approaches with complete humility. Dr. Washington, I owe you a profound apology. My prejudices nearly cost a child his life. Sam extends his hand with grace, transcending decades of humiliation. We both learned something today, but Tommy needs us to focus on healing. Will you help us treat him officially? Dr. Carter asks with respect. Sam looks at Vinny, who nods desperately. I cannot practice legally without recredentialing, but I can guide treatment and ensure Tommy gets optimal care. The hospital staff sees Sam differently now. Nurses nod respectfully. Residents ask questions. The uniform hasn't changed, but everything else has transformed. Would you consider consulting on challenging cases? Dr. Walsh asks. Your expertise could save countless children. Sam smiles genuinely for the first time in years. I'd be honored. This is why I became a physician, to help children like Tommy. Tommy stirs, opening his eyes. Papa! Vinny tears up. I'm here, son. Dr. Sam will make you better. Tommy looks at Sam curiously. Are you really a doctor? Sam smiles warmly. I'm someone who believes every child deserves the best medical care possible. But can Sam's expertise guide Tommy through the dangerous treatment ahead? Hour 14 arrives with coordinated medical precision as ICU room 314 transforms into a battlefield against time. Dr. Carter prepares IV immunoglobulin, while Dr. Martinez calculates aspirin dosages with mathematical precision. Sam stands at Tommy's bedside, no longer hiding his expertise, finally allowed to practice medicine at his highest level again. IV access in the right antecubital vein, Sam advises with quiet authority that commands immediate respect. Large bore catheter, 18-gauge minimum. The immunoglobulin solution is highly viscous and requires adequate flow rates to prevent hemolytic complications. Dr. Pemberton, now completely humbled, takes careful notes like a medical student. What's the exact dosage calculation, Dr. Washington? 2 grams per kilogram body weight. Tommy weighs 24 kilograms, so 48 grams total. Infusion rate should not exceed 0.5 milliliters per kilogram per hour initially, then increase gradually as tolerated to prevent adverse reactions. The medical team works with newfound respect for Sam's expertise, following his guidance with the deference usually reserved for department chiefs. 2 hours into treatment, chaos erupts without warning. Alarms scream throughout the ICU as Tommy's heart rate rockets to 180 beats per minute. Blood pressure plummets to 70/40ths. The monitors flash urgent red warnings that pierce the sterile silence like emergency sirens. "What's happening to my son?" Vinny demands, panic returning to his voice as medical progress transforms into crisis. Dr. Carter checks the IV site frantically, her hands trembling with professional fear. "Possible anaphylactic reaction to the immunoglobulin. This is life-threatening." Sam studies the monitors with laser focus, 45 years of critical care experience guiding his analysis. "No, this is an acute hemolytic reaction secondary to rapid infusion rate. We need to stop the infusion immediately and switch to alternative protocol." "Alternative protocol?" Dr. Walsh asks urgently as Tommy's condition deteriorates before their eyes. Sam closes his eyes, drawing from decades of experience treating complex pediatric cases that most American physicians have never encountered. High-dose methylprednisolone, 30 milligrams per kilogram daily for 3 consecutive days. It's more aggressive than standard American protocols, but Tommy's immune system is rejecting first-line therapy. "I've never used corticosteroids as primary treatment for Kawasaki disease," Dr. Pemberton admits, his previous arrogance replaced by genuine respect for Sam's knowledge. "Because it's controversial in traditional American practice," Sam explains with patient authority. "But I've published research on this exact scenario, IVIG-resistant Kawasaki disease. Japanese centers use this protocol with 85% success rates. I've personally managed 12 similar cases with excellent outcomes." The weight of Sam's expertise becomes undeniable as he guides the team through uncharted medical territory that could save or kill Tommy. Vinny pulls Sam aside, desperation etched in every line of his face. "Doc, give it to me straight. What are Tommy's real chances?" Sam's honesty cuts through medical euphemisms with surgical precision. "Without treatment, there is a 25% chance of permanent coronary damage with possible sudden cardiac death. With the steroid protocol, it's untested in most American centers, but based on my research and clinical experience, there is a 90% chance of complete recovery. What would you do if this was your own grandson?" Sam remembers all the children he was never allowed to treat because of systematic racism, brilliant diagnoses dismissed, innovative treatments rejected because of skin color. "I would trust 4 decades of medical knowledge and fight with everything I have for his life." Hour 16 brings the steroid gamble as Dr. Carter administers methylprednisolone under Sam's careful guidance. Tommy's small body fights the massive inflammatory response attacking his cardiovascular system while machines monitor every vital sign. Sam watches with the intensity of someone finally allowed to practice medicine at his highest level. Heart rate stabilizing at 140. Blood pressure improved to 85/50ths. Good initial response. But monitor for steroid complications, hyperglycemia, mood changes, immunosuppression. Hour 18 delivers a devastating setback. Tommy develops severe abdominal pain, begins vomiting bile-stained fluid. Temperature spikes to 104.2 degrees despite treatment. "The steroids aren't working," Dr. Pemberton says grimly, his newfound respect for Sam wavering under pressure. Sam examines Tommy with thoroughness that speaks to decades of pediatric experience. "No, this is expected disease progression. The inflammatory cascade intensifies before resolution begins. His immune system is fighting the aberrant response. We maintain the current course." Vinny hasn't slept in 30 hours. His legendary composure shatters completely. "Sam, I've done terrible things in my life. Hurt people. made enemies. But Tommy's innocent. He doesn't deserve to pay for my sins. Sam sits beside him with compassion born from understanding systemic injustice. Mr. Rossini, disease doesn't discriminate based on our past mistakes. Children remain pure regardless of family circumstances. My job, our job, is protecting that innocence. Hour 20 arrives with Tommy's most dangerous crisis. Blood pressure drops to critically low, 65/35. Breathing becomes labored and shallow. Cardiac monitors show dangerous, irregular rhythms that could prove fatal. We're losing him, Dr. Walsh whispers with defeat heavy in her voice. Sam studies the monitors with laser focus, decades of suppressed medical expertise now fully unleashed. He's developing distributive shock secondary to systemic inflammation. The vasculitis is compromising cardiac output. We need aggressive hemodynamic support, Sam directs with authority that saves lives. Dopamine infusion starts at 5 micrograms per kilogram per minute. If there is no response in 30 minutes, add dobutamine at 2.5 micrograms per kilogram per minute. Dr. Carter nods with growing respect. Dr. Washington, you're directing this resuscitation with expertise beyond most of us. I'm sharing knowledge that should have been utilized decades ago, Sam responds, while guiding complex cardiac support protocols. Medicine works best when we combine experience with humility. Sam's expertise proves invaluable as he navigates the team through life-saving interventions most American physicians have never encountered. Monitor urine output every 15 minutes. Kidney perfusion is critical. Check arterial blood gas and lactate levels hourly. If we see metabolic acidosis with lactate above 4, we'll need sodium bicarbonate. Hour 22 brings the miraculous turning point. Tommy's fever breaks dramatically. Heart rate normalizes to 95. Blood pressure stabilizes at 95/60ths. Natural color returns to previously pale cheeks. There. Sam points to the monitor with quiet satisfaction. Cardiac rhythm regularizing, systemic inflammation responding to treatment, coronary vasculitis resolving. Tommy opens his eyes slowly, focusing on his father's worried face. Papa? Vinny grabs his son's hand with trembling fingers. I'm here, buddy. Dr. Sam saved your life. Tommy looks at Sam with innocent curiosity. Are you really a doctor? Sam smiles with the warmth of someone finally allowed to be himself. I'm someone who believes every child deserves the very best medical care possible. Dr. Walsh reviews follow-up cardiac ultrasound with amazement. Coronary artery dilation completely stabilized. No progression to aneurysm formation. If we had delayed another 6 hours... Everyone knows Tommy would have suffered permanent, potentially fatal heart damage. Hour 24 arrives with Tommy sitting up independently, asking for apple juice and wanting to go home. Complete recovery achieved through Sam's expertise and determination. Vinny turns to Sam with profound gratitude. How do I repay this? Money, favors, anything? Sam shakes his head with dignity. Just be the father Tommy needs. Show him that people can change, that we can be better than our worst mistakes. That's enough payment. But the broader impact has only begun as word spreads of the brilliant black janitor who saved the Mafia boss's son. Day 3 arrives with Tommy Rossini walking the pediatric ward independently, his IV removed and spirits completely restored. Laboratory values have returned to normal. Follow-up echocardiogram shows complete resolution of coronary artery changes with no residual cardiac effects. Dr. Carter presents the case during grand rounds with obvious respect. Atypical Kawasaki disease, correctly diagnosed by our clinical consultant, Dr. Samuel Washington, treated with innovative methylprednisolone protocol. The patient achieved complete recovery with no cardiac complications. Sustained applause fills the conference room as medical professionals who once dismissed Sam now recognize his life-saving expertise. Dr. Walsh addresses the assembled staff. This case reminds us that medical expertise transcends titles and prejudices. Dr. Washington's knowledge saved a child's life when our conventional approaches failed. Sam stands quietly, wearing both his janitor's uniform and stethoscope with equal pride. Vinny finds Sam in the hospital chapel, where Sam has prayed each morning for 15 years. Sam, I can never repay what you've done, Vinny says with genuine emotion. Seeing Tommy healthy and practicing medicine again, that's payment enough, Sam replies. Vinny places an envelope on the pew. For reclaiming your rightful place in medicine. Sam doesn't open it immediately. The real gift is Tommy calling me doctor again. Dr. Pemberton approaches with genuine humility. We want to offer you a formal position as senior clinical consultant. Your expertise deserves institutional recognition. Sam considers carefully. I appreciate that, but I also want to continue custodial work. This hospital needs both types of care. I can provide both with equal dedication. Tommy's discharge day arrives with celebration. Vinny carries his healthy son to the elevator. Dr. Sam! Tommy calls enthusiastically. Will you be here for my checkups? Sam waves with warm affection. I'll be here, taking care of other children who need help. Sam returns to his evening routine, but everything has changed. Medical residents stop to discuss cases respectfully. Nurses seek his input with genuine appreciation. The janitor's uniform remains, but respect has been earned through excellence. His stethoscope hangs openly around his neck. No longer hidden shame, but proud symbol of knowledge conquering prejudice. 1 month later, Mount Sinai Hospital buzzes with transformation that extends far beyond Tommy Rossini's miraculous recovery. Tommy bounces into the pediatric cardiology clinic with unlimited energy, completely healthy and vibrant. His follow-up echocardiogram shows perfectly normal coronary arteries with no residual effects from Kawasaki disease. Dr. Sam, Tommy runs enthusiastically to hug Sam, who's present for all follow-up consultations as the hospital's newest senior clinical advisor. Dr. Walsh smiles with satisfaction. Textbook, perfect recovery. No activity restrictions whatsoever. He can participate in any normal childhood activities. His heart is absolutely perfect, Sam confirms with professional confidence. No evidence he ever had this condition. Sam now divides his time equally between custodial responsibilities and formal medical consultation. Hospital administration created the unique position of Senior Clinical Advisor for Complex Diagnostic Cases, recognizing expertise wherever it exists. 4 days weekly, Sam reviews challenging diagnoses with medical residents and attending physicians. His diagnostic accuracy rate in complex cases reaches 96%, higher than most department chiefs achieve. Dr. Pemberton has become Sam's most vocal advocate. I was perpetuating unconscious systemic racism. Sam taught me that medical brilliance transcends skin color, and wisdom doesn't require conventional career paths. The pediatric department routinely consults Sam on challenging cases. His insights have led to correct diagnoses in 17 cases that stumped entire medical teams. National media attention brings widespread recognition to systemic racism in healthcare. 60 Minutes profiles Sam's story and the doctor hidden in plain sight, which goes viral across social media platforms. Thousands of comments pour in from healthcare workers sharing similar stories. Brilliant minority physicians working below their capabilities. Foreign-trained doctors whose expertise gets dismissed. Older physicians forced out by discrimination. Mount Sinai partners with civil rights organizations to identify and support underutilized medical professionals. Sam becomes the primary advocate for recognizing hidden medical talent regardless of current employment status. Medical schools nationwide invite Sam to lecture on diagnostic reasoning. His presentation becomes required viewing for pediatric residents across the country. Vincent Rossini establishes the Dr. Samuel Washington Foundation with a $5 million endowment to support minority medical professionals facing systemic barriers. The foundation funds medical license reinstatement, continuing education, and anti-racism training. 43 physicians receive assistance in the first year, with 12 successfully returning to full medical practice after years of systematic exclusion. Sam reconnects with Howard University colleagues through video conferences. For the first time in 15 years, he feels complete as a physician, respected, valued, and practicing at his highest capabilities. Mount Sinai implements comprehensive policies to identify and utilize expertise wherever it exists. 3 additional custodial workers reveal significant medical backgrounds. A security guard discloses emergency medical technician training. Sam still arrives punctually for his night custodial shift. He mops floors meticulously, maintains pristine hospital cleanliness with the same dedication he brings to medical consultation. I perform both roles with equal pride, he tells reporters. Healing environments require clinical excellence and environmental cleanliness. I contribute to patient care whether holding a mop or stethoscope. 8 months later, 7 minority physicians working in non-medical roles at Mount Sinai have been identified and supported toward full medical practice reinstatement. His case became mandatory study in medical schools nationwide, recognizing and overcoming systemic racism in healthcare institutions. Tommy visits Sam monthly, bringing drawings of doctors and hospitals. When I grow up, I want to help sick kids like Dr. Sam does, no matter what they look like. Sam frames his first paycheck as senior clinical advisor next to his Howard University medical diploma. 2 pieces of paper, 45 years apart, representing identical commitment to healing and triumph over institutional prejudice. The janitor's uniform hangs beside his white coat. Both represent tools of his medical trade now. In a healthcare system that is often judged by credentials and assumptions, Dr. Samuel Washington reminds us that true medical expertise lives in knowledge, experience, and compassion, not in the color of one's skin or the prestige of one's current position. Every day, we encounter people whose uniforms don't reflect their true capabilities. The janitor who graduated summa cum laude, the security guard who's a trained paramedic, the cafeteria worker who's a licensed nurse from another country. We judge by appearance, we assume by race, we dismiss by age or accent. But brilliance doesn't expire. Medical knowledge doesn't diminish because of systemic racism. Excellence doesn't disappear when society refuses to recognize it. How much is Dr. Samuel Washington's work in your hospital, your workplace, your community? How many brilliant minds are we systematically overlooking because we can't see past unconscious bias and institutional prejudice? The next time you encounter someone in a service position, remember Sam's story. That person might be a brilliant physician denied opportunities due to racism, a foreign-trained specialist whose credentials aren't recognized, a retired professional working to survive financially, or someone with life-saving expertise you desperately need. America's promise is that talent and hard work will be rewarded regardless of background. But too often, we waste human capital because we can't recognize excellence in unexpected packages. Dr. Samuel Washington didn't become a physician when Mount Sinai finally acknowledged him. He was always a physician. Systemic racism just prevented us from seeing his brilliance. Every Sam deserves recognition. Every Tommy deserves the best possible medical care, regardless of who provides it. Every Dr. Pemberton deserves the chance to confront their unconscious biases and become better. If this story moved you, share it. Not for views or likes, but to remind the world that medical expertise transcends race, age, and job titles. Systemic racism costs lives when we ignore qualified professionals. Dignity and competence can triumph over prejudice and assumptions. Hidden talents surround us in every workplace and community. Subscribe to Black Tales Stories if you believe in recognizing the brilliant minds society overlooks. Comment if you've ever been underestimated because of your race, age, background, or current circumstances. And remember, the next time someone offers medical advice or professional insight, don't ask about their skin color or current job title. Ask about their knowledge, their experience, and their heart. Dr. Samuel Washington, 68 years old, adjusting his stethoscope in the hospital mirror. Same weathered hands that should have been saving lives for decades. Same brilliant mind that was hidden by institutional racism. Same commitment to healing that never wavered despite systematic rejection. But now the world finally sees what was always there. A physician who never stopped learning, never stopped caring, never stopped fighting for the chance to save lives. The most dangerous prejudice is the one that prevents us from recognizing life-saving brilliance.